see me. Thank you all for coming. So happy National First Generation Celebration Day. I am Samira Lee. I am the program advisor for Necessary Steps Mentoring Program here on campus. And this program is geared towards first generation college students to help them transition from high school to college and the rest of their college journeys. And the program has been at UIS for about 13 years, and we're continuing to want to expand to students who are not in necessary steps but are first gen, and we want to support them. So a little history about First Generation College Celebration Day. In 2017, the Council for Opportunity and Education, COE, and the Center for First Generation Student Success launched the inaugural First Generation College Celebration. Given the continued success of this event, the COE and the Center now partner to make the celebration an annual event. Each year on November 8th, college, universities, corporations, nonprofits, and K-12 schools are encouraged to celebrate the success of first-generation college students, faculty, staff, and alumni in any way possible. In previous years, institutions and organizations have invited speakers and offered programming on first-generation success, hosted lunch and learn events like this one, kicked off mentoring programs, distributed FirstGen swag, and featured students on their websites. Necessary Steps has previously taken pictures in our Necessary Steps shirts and posted to social media with the hashtag #CelebrateFirstGen, so you all make sure you use that hashtag. And this year we are happy to celebrate with the Career Center for this special day for FirstGen students. We are proud, and we may be the first, but we are not the only. Thank you all for joining us today. Now I will welcome Kristen to introduce our speaker and other reminders about this event. Thank you, Samaria. As Samaria said, my name is Kristen. Hello, Zoom world as well. I am a staff member in the Career Development Center, and I'm so glad for you to be with us today. Before we get started, I wanted to put out a reminder that today's event is associated with the UIS STAR Map, which is the educational curriculum used by the departments within Student Affairs, like the Career Center and the Diversity Center, and specifically we'll be addressing the STAR Map goal of self-awareness. And we hope by the end of this event, you'll be able to accurately describe yourself, discuss how you're learning and growing, and advocate for yourself within a job or internship search. We'll send a follow-up survey after the event to get your feedback on those areas. Today, we invite you to engage, take notes, ask questions, and have fun. And for those in person, please enjoy desserts. For those on Zoom, I'm sorry we can't send the dessert to you, but find a treat that makes you happy wherever you are today. And now, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our speaker. So we're really grateful to have Oscar Garcia with us today. And our speaker is the founder and Chief Empowerment Officer of Aspira Consulting, a Silicon Valley training and consulting firm. Oscar's career journey includes business development roles at 5 startups, co-founding a nonprofit, state president and CEO, and community partnerships manager at LinkedIn. He is an introvert turned international speaker. Oscar has given over 500 seminars and trained over 20,000 professionals across 5 continents. His training style is of a crack trainer. He actively practices what he trains others to do. His clients range from startup incubators to educational institutions and brands like Oracle, Aruba Networks, Palo Alto Networks, McKesson, Genentech, Wells Fargo, the U.S. Embassy, the University of California, Berkeley, and Stanford University. Oscar is also the host of a dynamic and engaging podcast called Career Talk with OG. He is an ESL student turned contributing author to Hispanic Stars Rising, Volume 2, The New Face of Power. For his story, I Am a Minority highlights the importance of embracing the struggle, valuing our identity, and the power of vulnerability. As Chief Empowerment Officer, Oscar empowers you, so opportunities come to you. Please help me welcome Oscar Garcia back to UIS. All right.
Kristen, thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Kathy. It's great to be back virtually. Hopefully in 2022, we'll finally be able to shake hands, in person here, be with you. But to all of you first generation students, professionals, what a special day today, right? Like, honestly, I had no idea that, November 8th was first generation until this talk. And also I saw some other friends and folks in my network. I'm like, we have a special day. Oh my gosh, I'm about to like go get a cake or something, after this. But anyway, everyone, let me switch screens here. Okay, or share my screen, excuse me. All right, so everyone, I really encourage you to either pull out a piece of paper, your phone, if that's where you take notes, or open up your laptop, because I do have some really good information that will require you to write some of this stuff down, or they are recording this. So definitely you're gonna wanna go back and review certain segments of the recording. And I also do have Angelica Garcia with me. We are going to be tag teaming. Angelica is the Culture Engagement Officer here with Aspira Consulting. So, okay, let's get started here. So how to tell your first generation story to get hired, because that's ultimately the goal, right, folks? To get hired, we got to get that job here. We can start paying student loans, bills, or whatever it is, that we need to start doing here. So here's the agenda. First thing is that I'm going to talk about what the top 6 soft skills are. This is according to LinkedIn. LinkedIn did a research. They spent a lot of money talking to companies, executives, to try to figure out what are those top 6 soft skills that employees need to have, okay? Number 2, before I get into how to tell our first gen story, is I want to go over some foundational steps. Like, you can't write your senior thesis, right, until you've gone through freshman, sophomore, and junior year. All right, so let's not get ahead of ourselves here, okay? Like, quit telling me, Oscar, get to the point. No, you need to listen up, and we're going to go through some foundational steps here. Then we're going to go into the meat of today's talk, and that is how to create and promote your story. Okay, so I will leave some time for questions. If you want to share them with Kristen, those of you that are in the auditorium or whatnot, let her know, and she can ask me too as well. Or those of you that are online, send them through the chat. But again, I will leave some time. Okay. But let me give you a little bit of background about some of the challenges that I went through, that I have gone through, okay? Because as a first gen story, I've always said this, we all have a story to tell. First off, English is my second language. Kristen said that in the introduction. Now, granted, I learned how to speak English when I was in kindergarten, okay? But the minute I learned how to speak English, I became my parents' translator. So they passed away about 6 years ago. Maybe some of you are in that situation, can relate that, you become your parents' translator and help them out, right? So that was me. Also, low income. I was on the free and reduced lunch program in elementary school. Yes, I stood in that greasy food line. Probably my arteries are clogged because I ate that greasy food as a kid, okay? While most of my white friends, mom and dad was bringing them lunch, or they had, back then it was, the lunch pails with Superman, Wonder Woman on the outside and stuff like that. Now you can, pay like $200 for that same lunch pail on eBay, all right? They're like collectibles, okay? But I was on that free and reduced lunch program. Also, in college, I went to UC Berkeley, and I thought I was actually doing well in English, because in high school, I was getting like A's in my English classes. And then all of a sudden I go to UC Berkeley and they're like, Oscar, your English writing is horrible. You need to go into remedial English class. And I was like, what is going on here? Did someone lie to me for the last 4 years? So I was in this remedial English class for my freshman year in college. Also, my parents' basic schooling. My dad, first grade education, my mom, middle school education. And I told you they didn't speak English. Honest truth, I couldn't even go to my parents in 3rd grade and ask them to help me with my homework. They couldn't, okay? And then lastly, I know many of you don't believe this. My natural personality is introvert. Many of us have this misconception that anyone that does public speaking and over the last 22, 24 months has been talking to a silly little camera while most people have the cameras turned off must be an extrovert. That is not true, folks, okay? I am living proof that you can change if you have the desire to change, all right? Doing these type of talks. In fact, I'm actually doing a second one later this evening. So like tonight, I'm going to be like totally exhausted because those of you, again, that are introverts, you know that when you public speak, it just takes so much of your energy giving out to others. Now, I share this again with you so that you can understand where I've come from, right? Part of my story. Okay, let's talk about those soft skills that companies look for. Okay, so like I said, LinkedIn did a research back in 2017, and the top 6 skills that they identified, the companies identified that are important is number 1, adaptability. Number 2, culture fit. Number 3, collaboration. Number 4, leadership. Number 5, growth potential. And number 6, prioritization. Now I'm going to go through an exercise here where I'm going to take some of these 6 skills and I'm going to show you how you can correlate these 6 skills to your own personal FirstGen story and how we have these 6 skills already. Just sometimes no one's told us or no one showed us how to correlate these skills, okay? But again, these are the top 6 soft skills that companies look for. I'm going to tell you something. When I saw this list, I'm like, hallelujah, like, hello, like, like here I am, folks, here I am, General Motors or Facebook, Google, or whatever, like, I'm right here because I'm adaptable. I mean, as a FirstGen, right? Oh, you better believe, that we are adaptable, okay? All right. I mentioned to you that we're going to talk first about some of the foundational steps, okay? One of the first things that we all need to do in order to help us craft that FirstGen story is we need to, what I refer to as honoring the past. What do I mean by honoring the past? I'm talking about your past. Every single one of us has a story. We have a story to tell. In this particular case, example, my dad in Mexico was a butcher. And when I was in 5th grade, one day my dad said, son, I want you to get the buckets, the knives and towels ready. And I was like, what the heck are we going to do? That was a start for about 6 to 7 years. Every weekend, we would go to the slaughterhouses. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, and we would go and kill a pig, cow, goat, and sell fresh meat. The way my dad did it back in Mexico. In fact, the way they do it in a lot of foreign countries, they sell fresh meat. Okay, Whole Foods is not fresh meat, folks. Okay, just in case you didn't know that. Okay, this is fresh meat here. And so here's the thing, though. I was a 5th grader. I was 11 years old. I was playing with my friends back then, on the weekends, watching Saturday morning cartoons, and then all of a sudden I just disappeared from my friends. I mean, I stopped hanging out with them. And I remember my friends would say, Oscar, how come you don't play with us anymore on the weekends? And I was like, I'm just busy. And they're like doing what? Like busy what? I'm just busy. What it was, folks, is I was embarrassed to tell people that I was doing this. That's my dad on the far left, my little brother in the middle, and there's me on the right with my peach fuzz, okay? And I was just embarrassing, right, for me. And honest to God truth, I hated doing this. I hated helping my parents because in a way it took away from my childhood. But when I look back, folks, today, and I look at that experience, of helping my parents, I realized that I'd learned so many valuable life lessons. Like, for example, a work ethic. Think about this. My friends on Saturday morning, what were they doing at 7 a.m.? They were sleeping in. Maybe they might have been awake to watch, superheroes, okay, Super Friends or whatever. But I was already up helping my parents. And so I learned a work ethic. That's why I tell you, I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 18 years old right now, sitting at that table, eating your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or if you're like 70 years old, you are not going to outwork me, okay? I'm going to outwork you because at a very young age, I learned how to work hard, folks. And just like this, I learned many other life lessons. And again, if you stop and think back at some of your stories, I'm willing to bet that you have also some positive life lessons that you can extract from your experiences. See, folks, we all go through challenges in life. Challenges sting, but they're also fertilizer. How we react to the challenges in life, it is our choice. It is our choice. I just chosen to take those challenges in my life and turn it into fertilizer so to be able to fertilize my dreams, all right? That's what I encourage many of you to do, to start reframing your narrative, our narrative. Now, I want to share with you just a quick little video here. And let me just pause and make sure that I have the sound on. All right. Yes, I do. All right. There we go. Folks, I share this video because, like I said, growing up, people used to make fun of me a lot, right? And really, quite frankly, throughout even my professional career, I always felt like I was less than other people because of my culture, because maybe speaking English with an accent or with a lisp, or maybe I say okay, or whatever when I public speak, because I'm not a professional public speaker, whatever, right? Like all these labels that just get placed on us. And then I remember one day being at one of the startups, and we were talking about being different from our competitors, and what's our competitive advantage, what's our differentiator. And all of a sudden the light bulb went on, and I'm like, wait a minute. So in the business world, it's okay to be different, to have that competitive, so it's a competitive advantage. Yet all my life I've been different, but I've been told that I'm less than. I'm like, hallelujah, like I have been groomed for success. Finally, I changed the narrative. I'm like, you better believe I am different. I am proud to be a minority. I am proud to be different, all right, than all of you out there, okay? And see, I shared also this video, folks, on LinkedIn, on social media, right? LinkedIn, that stuffy platform that many of you are afraid to post because what are people going to say? I'm going to tell you something, folks, okay? Whether you post it on LinkedIn or you just share your story, vulnerability is a strength, folks. Vulnerability is a strength. Now, here's the thing, too. There are 3 R's to vulnerability to help you be vulnerable. Number 1 is be real, folks. And no, I'm not talking about being Facebook real, okay? That's junk real, in my opinion, all right? Think of someone you highly admire, you highly respect, and they tell their story of the challenges that they went through, the lessons that they learned, how they overcame those challenges. Do you not have a newfound respect for that person? I don't know about you, but I do. I'm like, wow. Part of the reason why I made the comment about Facebook, it's not Facebook, the platform, it's probably the people that I was connected to on Facebook, is that, they're all like posting all the good pictures, like from this angle here, this height, because it makes you look thinner, right? When you post the picture from here, or, the guys that posted pictures, with their six pack, from being summer break, and tan, like, dude, let me see your six pack when you're 50 years old. Okay. Let's see if you still have that. Okay. Be real, folks. Number 2, be relatable. Today, we have 5 generations in the workforce. We have Gen Zs. Those of you, at least the kind of that I see in the room, I kind of guessing you're probably a Gen Z, all right? And we have up to baby boomers, in some cases even a little bit older than baby boomers in the workforce. We need to relate to a variety of people, folks. And then lastly, number 3, be respectful. So be real, relatable, and respectful, folks, okay? All right, let's talk about, this is where I told you earlier about getting that piece of paper, your laptop, or whatever, your phone, so you can start taking some notes, because we're gonna go into the meat of things here. We're gonna start talking about creating our story. And I want to turn it over to Angelica here so she can talk about the first exercise.
Yes, hello everyone. So first off, kind of want to give a little background of what do we mean by skills? We tend to get a lot of questions about this, technical skills, soft skills. What do we mean by skills? And I think it's very important to realize that skills come in many different forms. And with that being said, most of the time we think of our technical skills right off the bat. Okay, I know how to use Microsoft. I know how to use PowerPoint. I know how to use this software. I know how to put this document together. I'm a graphic designer. But one of the things that we don't tend to focus on is these soft skills. These soft skills are skills that actually, if we think about it, have taken years for us as human beings in this world to foster and to create and to become proficient at. Whereas these technical skills are perhaps something where, hey, I can get some off the street and I can teach them how to download a PDF, but I can't teach someone compassion. I can't teach someone how to communicate. And so definitely keep that in mind as we go into our next exercise here. And with that sheet of paper, you're going to want to go ahead and create 3 columns, and I'll have Oscar kind of go into more details of what we're going to do here.
Sorry, here we go. Yes, thank you, Angelica. So here's what you're going to want to do in this exercise. Like Angelica said, you're going to want to write your sheet of paper and divide it into 3 columns. So the column on the far left, you're going to label it life experience. The column in the middle is going to be feelings. And then the column on the right is going to be skills. And I'm going to use myself as an example, okay? What you're going to want to do is think of a life experience. And so I shared with you the story about the family business when I was 11 years old in 5th grade. What is the feeling? There were many feelings, but one particular feeling is I mentioned to you that I felt embarrassed. And what is a skill, a positive skill that I learned? A work ethic, okay? The next example is when I went off to college in my freshman year, I was in remedial English class. How did I feel? I felt inferior, kind of that imposter syndrome, like I didn't belong there in college, right? Everyone else was way smarter than me. What is the skill that I learned from that experience is how to be coachable, because I started going to my professor, I started going to tutors, I started talking to my floor mate, my roommate, anyone that could help me with my writing, I was talking to them. And that is a skill of being teachable, coachable, right? And that is actually a positive skill in our career. And so again, on the left, these are my life experiences. And in the middle is those feelings. The reason why I asked you to identify what that feeling, typically it's kind of that not so positive sort of yucky feeling, is because I want you to get to the point where you are able to embrace that yucky feeling without not the other way around, where the feeling just controls you and you paralyzes you, but rather you embrace that feeling. It's like, yeah, you know what? I did feel embarrassed, but this feeling no longer defines me, no longer controls me. And then on the right column is that positive skill that you learn, okay? Next, let's talk about now reframing our story. You want to get another blank piece of paper, 3 columns, and you're going to label the column on the left, the top 6 soft skills. I'm just using the skills that, again, LinkedIn research identified, right? You can put some other skills here, but I'm just, in this particular example, that's what I'm using. And then in the middle is going to be, again, our life experience. And then on the right is our purpose. Why do we do what we do? So using myself as an example here, all right, I'm going to take that skill of prioritization, a life experience. When the family business, we actually, when I was in college, we actually continued the family business. We weren't no longer selling like meat like that, but we were selling chorizo Mexican sausage. And so every Friday I would drive back home, go help my dad make some chorizo, and then the following morning go to the local flea market and sell it. Okay, so that was a life experience. Well, why did I do that, or what was my purpose? My why is because for me it was about a win-win scenario situation. What do I mean by win-win? I had a responsibility to help my family, my parents, right, in the family business, but I also had a responsibility of doing well in school. Okay, so I learned how to prioritize my time. Sometimes, yeah, I was in a fraternity. Sometimes I had to say no to some very good parties. Okay, some very good parties. All right, and or sometimes I had to say no to, you know, mom and dad and be like, hey, you know what? I can't come today, this Friday, this weekend, because I have to study for this, okay, exam and so forth or whatever. But again, it's learning how to prioritize so that ultimately there's a win-win scenario. And you can go through each of these skills on the left, like experiences and purposes. And this, folks, is how we begin to also reframe our story, okay? Because when you are in an interview, when you are putting together your resume, or when you are doing your networking, you now take your life experiences and you can tell it from a position, from a career development, career growth, interview type situation. All right. I'm going to turn it back over to Angelica, and she's going to talk about some of the 5 parts of our story here.
So, to be honest, this is kind of getting into my favorite part of this presentation, because we've given you the bullet points, you've jotted down all these ideas. Great, amazing, but how are you going to formulate this into an actual workable, you know, introduction, bio? How is this all going to come together in the end? So the 5 parts to our story. So first off, we can start with your why. Why are you interested in the position? Why are you interested? What makes it so that you're like, yes, this is what I'm going to get up and do in the morning, even on the days where I'm tired? Why do you want to do what you do? And then next, your personality traits, kind of giving that insight. How does that kind of separate you from the robots and the mechanization of certain jobs? And then we have your career journey and vision. And I love this part because it's also seeing where your growth is. What is your potential? Where do you want to go in the future? And then awards and recognitions. What have you accomplished so far? What are you proud of that you're like, yes, like I have this award that I worked hard towards, and you know, I received this from my hard work. And then number 5, if whatever position perhaps you're currently at, or even if that is just, hey, I'm a student right now, but kind of just giving that introduction of where you're at. Okay, so first off, let's always start with what not to do. So depending on whether you can see this or not, this is an example of a person's LinkedIn page and their bio in the beginning. So I'm going to read a little bit here. It says educator, teacher, administrator, manager, consultant with experience in board governance, nonprofit, and it just keeps going on and on and on. And the reality is that while this person may be trying to take advantage of certain algorithms in LinkedIn or giving certain keyword searches, if someone were to come up to you and just start like listing off every title under the moon that they have been identified with, to be honest, you assume this person's crazy. Like, oh my goodness, they didn't even say hello. They didn't even say, oh, you know, this is what I think I want to do or anything. They just start listing off right off the bat. And so there's a way to describe what you want to do and who you are. That's not just like fire rapidly, shooting words out. So this is an example of when I was, oh gosh, I think I wrote this probably when I was a sophomore at Cal State Monterey Bay. And so I'm going to go ahead and read some of it. So it says, I am a student at California State University of Monterey Bay who aspires to one day become a professor of ethnic studies. My goal as a future educator is to help create an engaging, creative, and strong educational foundation for future generations. My passion for education has been an ongoing cause that has led me to volunteer for organizations such as Mesa de la Comunidad and the City of Mountain View's Youth Advisory Committee. By pursuing my passion for academia, I hope to expand my horizons and gain more insight into a world of limitless possibilities. Now, I'm going to be...
What are you doing?
I'm going to be completely honest. I enjoy writing, and that's my passion is writing. But I get it. That's not everyone. Everyone's like, if I have to write one sentence about myself, like, forget about it. I rather do like 20 math equations. I get it. And that's definitely where that skills inventory list and that whole exercise that we did, that's where that kind of comes into play to kind of get your brain flowing. Another thing is always look for examples. If you're not confident in your ability to just like right off the bat, write something about yourself, that's okay. It's a process. I have gone through probably 5 different versions of my bio since I wrote this. And that's okay. Like it's meant to change. It's meant to evolve as you evolve. Another important thing I want to point out here is at this point, I had no background in like ethnic studies. I hadn't done any TAing. Literally, there's nothing. My experience was working at Target for 1 week and selling blueberries at a farmer's market for like the summer. And that was it. Okay. So but that my dream, that's what I'm selling is if you don't have the experience at the time, which I'm sorry, like that's unexpected. Like I don't expect someone to come out of the womb having 15 years of experience in business. That's gained with time. But what's important is that you have a vision, that your vision is what you're going to sell and is what you say, hey, this is where I see myself. These are like some of the soft skills that I have. And those technical skills will come with time. And so here are some examples of sharing your story on perhaps LinkedIn or whatever platform that you feel is most suitable for whatever major profession you see yourself in. And this here is Marco Espino. He talks a little bit about graduating, how thankful he is for his family and all the support that he received. And one of the important things about when sharing these posts and kind of getting your activity involved on LinkedIn is realizing that, yes, again, you may not have the experience. So don't expect, oh my goodness, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, how am I ever going to share something? Like, why would anyone ever want to hear what I have to say? And I think it's important to, one, get that kind of mindset out of our head, but also realize that you have a journey and you have faced obstacles to get to the point where you are at right now. And that story is important, it's impactful. And again, it's that vulnerability we were talking about and that relatability. And realizing that there's other people out there who want to empathize with you and who need that encouragement and sharing that. And then we have another example here saying, I'm a first-generation college student from a family that has never been above the poverty line. During my time at Kennesaw State University, I've had 1 million bumps in the road, 1,000 heartaches, and hundreds of hours spent working at a job paying $9 an hour. See, there's a point where the reality of social media comes through and breaks through to this point where you're, again, relatable, but also you're authentic in that, yes, I didn't just, all of a sudden get this job position because, I went through this total linear path of college life and, now I have this job. That's not the reality of things. And I think it's important, and it's very important, especially when you're sharing your first generation story, is realizing that those bumps in the road were formative. And not only, hey, I had these bumps in the road, but here I am now on the other side of it. And so completing that story and kind of making it a full circle. Okay, and I'll hand it back over to Oscar to talk more about promoting our story.
Yeah, thank you, Heike. Great job there. So folks, we talked about writing our first gen story. Now we need to share it, okay? We need to let the world know how amazing we are, okay? Not just on November 8th, okay? But 365 days a year, and even on a leap year, okay? We need to do it, folks. So here we go. All right, here's some way. First of all, I want you to understand that when it comes down, I keep things really simple, okay? There are really only 3 types of story formats. There's the written, video, and audio. Angelica, she shared that for her, she loves writing. For me, I'm a lazy writer, okay? I'd rather even on messages, on text message, I'd rather send a voice message now, kind of to that habit, okay? But again, start with the format that you feel most comfortable. Don't use any excuse that I'm not a writer, therefore I don't, okay, make videos, all right? All right, some of you, I've already seen some of your TikTok accounts and you're amazing at making some videos, okay? So these are the 3 formats. Now, I wanna share with you some examples here of how I've used some of these different formats. So if you go onto my website, all right, the Aspira Consulting website, you're gonna see that I've got, obviously I have the first gen story that I've written, but now I've taken different bits and pieces. In this particular case on the website, on the left, I have a little bit of story of how it started. On the right, how it's going, right? I have a podcast called Career Talk with OG. And in this podcast, episode number 4 was, I talk about why I launched Career Talk with OG. Audio version, here's an example. My good friend, Jenny Lopez, she is a recruiter. Connect with her on LinkedIn. She's a great resource, has a huge heart, okay? But she's a recruiter for Eli Lilly, and she also does some career coaching and training, and she has her own website. And I love the way on her own personal website, she just describes herself. This is another example. Some of you, maybe you have your own website, or if not, maybe think about creating a personal website. The reality is, it's not that very difficult to create, but it's a good way to promote your story, to tell your story. Okay. Now we're going to open up to some questions, and I want to leave you with some final thoughts here. Okay. Folks, again, do not be ashamed, okay, or embarrassed about being a first-gen professional. Isn't hard? Absolutely. Are there new challenges that we must go through that other people don't? Yes. Is it unfair? Absolutely. But you know what, folks? It is in that struggle, okay, that we build the strength to move on and move forward. Here's my contact information. I'm very accessible. You can obviously connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, the podcast. We have a YouTube channel. I share a lot of tips. On the right is my contact information to you, my phone. I think I just need to give you my social security number. All right, I'm really accessible. But anyways, Kathy or Kristen, I'm going to turn it over to you in case there's any questions from anyone.
Hi, everybody. So Kathy from the Career Center. I have a quick question. So Oscar, you talked about people telling their skills from the experiences. With several students I've talked to, they often feel like they don't have skills. How do you, what would you suggest that they do? How do they pull that out or identify those skills?
Yeah, that's it. So folks, here's the thing that I want you to do is that what we want you to do is we want you to write down all the skills that you either feel you're really good at or not good at. Okay, like Angelica, for example, mentioned, some of the things like, social media, okay, or I listed something like a work ethic. Think about this, right? If we go back here, let me go back to that particular slide here, because I want to show you something here. It's not that we don't, it's that sometimes we don't think that that is a skill. Okay, so here we go. Let me switch back. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen. But folks, if you see on the far right, the skills, work ethic, coachable, networking, public speaking, collaboration, these are all skills, right? That I didn't realize I had until I started kind of thinking back on my own life experiences. And so some of you, the fact that you showed up and others didn't, because I'm pretty sure this message, this email invitation went out to a lot of people. And some of you showed up. You know what, that to me, a skill that I have is again, prioritization. And I'm not putting, because I don't know the story about these other people. So don't go back and be like, Oscar says you're a loser because you didn't show up. No, I didn't say that, okay? All right, I'm just saying that, you know, you were able to, you have the ability to prioritize, okay? Some of you maybe speak of the multiple languages, rather, you're bilingual, there's a skill, okay? Some of you, for example, are maybe good at doing some video editing. Maybe you do it for your own personal videos, or maybe you do it, maybe you're part of a student group and you do it. There you go, okay? Some of you maybe do some public speaking, and maybe you don't feel that you are a good public speaker, but that doesn't matter. You still have that skill, you've done it. Listen, at least if you did something once, that's a skill. Now, can you get better? Yes. So to your question, Kathy, is that for these students it's not that students don't have skills, it's oftentimes we compare where our skills are to someone that maybe is better than us, and therefore we feel we are deficient, and we don't even consider that as a skill.
I have a question for you. So on your LinkedIn pages that I saw, next to your name, it said first. Does that like signify that you're a first gen, or what does that mean?
Can you get the see if I understood? You said that on LinkedIn, it said
on your LinkedIn pages that you pulled up in the the slides there, it said first next to your name, and I just wondered, was that like, did that mean first generation, or does that signify?
Oh no, it doesn't. No, the number first, it's a screenshot, and it just means that first connection, but it has nothing to do with first generation. It's the network that you are a part of, but not, no, there's no correlation to that. I do have on my about section, I do there where you can write like a little mini paragraph. In that section, I do say that I'm a first generation professional, but I wrote that. Yes. What else? What other question?
So, Oscar, you told us that you had aspirations of going to UC Berkeley, and you actually got in. So, what made you want to go to college if no one in your family had gone before?
I'm going to tell you what maybe is. First off, I am grateful. I've always had someone that took an interest in me, whether it was my third grade teacher, Mr. Jones, my sixth grade teacher, who said, Oscar, you didn't turn in, you know, that form from your parents that says, you know, you can go up to the next level math in middle school. Or in freshman year, there was a program called EOPS, Early Outreach Program. And I signed up for that program. They told us what it was, and it was supposed to help low-income students stay on that 4-year track. So these people, these organizations served as bumper pads in my life. And if you think about bumper pads, keep the bowling ball from going into the gutter. And so I was just kept traveling towards those pins, staying out of the gutter. And I knew that eventually I was going to at least knock one pin down. Okay, who knows? Maybe I got lucky and get 10. And so when junior year came around in high school, and my teacher said, my counselor asked me what I wanted to do after I graduated, here's the other thing too, and I'm just keeping it real, folks, okay? Like many of you here do it, even as adults. I gave her the answer that I knew she wanted to hear because she wanted me to tell her that I wanted to go to college. I didn't know where I wanted to go. So let's get that straight. I had no idea. I just knew how to play the game. Just like I tell my parents the right answer so they can shut up and leave me alone and quit asking me questions. That's what I knew. And she started asking me more questions. Where do you want to go? And I was like, oh, shoot, like I'm not ready. Berkeley, because it was close to home. And so, again, going back to those teachers, those mentors, those programs that kept me on track. Eventually, as I got closer, I'm like, I think I can go to college. That's how I made it. It wasn't because I'm like, to Angelica's early point that I popped out of my mother's womb and I'm like, I'm college bound. I don't know. I was just like, I'm like, I think I can go to college. Let's try it. I got this lottery ticket. I might as well scratch it, see if I'm a winner.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hello. My name is Hassan again. And my question is, do you have siblings? Do you have siblings?
Do I have siblings?
Yes.
Yes, I have 9 other siblings. 1 younger brother, same mom and dad, and then the other siblings are on my dad's side of the family. Yes.
So how is being, and I'm assuming you're the eldest?
No, I'm actually second to youngest.
Well, how is having siblings and being first generation affected your I guess first generation your
The question is, how does having siblings affect me as first generation? Is that the question? Okay, so my family dynamics is a little interesting. Is that my younger brother, and like I mentioned to you, same mom and dad, and my other siblings are on my dad's side of the family. We didn't really grow up with them and close to them, so really, it's like I kind of grew up as just the 2 of us and being the oldest in the family, and in my particular case, the way that it affected me was kind of playing that dual role of being the son and the parent, because like I mentioned to you, my parents didn't speak English, and as I got older, I took on more adult responsibilities at a relatively young age. I remember my brother in high school wanted to join the Marines, and he needed my parents to sign off to give permission for him to go. He was underage, under 18, and my parents came to me and they're like, so what do you think, Oscar? Should we let your brother go? And I'm like, no, he needs to go to college. And my parents said, sign out. Think about that. My parents asked me what they should do. And essentially, I was the one to play the dad role to my brother. Well, when my brother turned 18, he went off to the Marines. but that dual parent son relationship is something that some of us first generations experience.
I'll jump in with another.
Yes, Kathy.
Oh, sorry, something else just popped in the chat, so I'll ask that one instead. So
Okay.
how can those who are different, how can those of us who are different stick out, navigate through loneliness due to unintentional societal or organizational behavior that they may face in the workforce or in school due to those differences?
That's a great question. First of all, everyone, I've experienced that. Feeling left out, just feeling like, again, not belonging. No one understands me. I mean, I started feeling that, quite frankly, since I was a kid, right? I like the video that I shared with you, like I experienced that, okay, early on. And even throughout my my career, even to this day, I actually experience it. Here's the thing, folks, is I really, what truly has helped me is number one, take advantage of, build that support system, that friend or that family like you have right now. The things that Kathy, Kristen, and her team and Samaria are doing, take advantage of it, because we all need that support system. We need sometimes that shoulder to cry on. All right. So that's one. Take advantage of that. Number two is that realize, folks, that reframing our narrative, our story, it really helps us not just in getting higher, but it actually starts helping us in increasing our self-worth and believing in ourselves, and realize that we don't need anyone else to validate us. The only person that needs to validate ourselves is the person in the mirror when you wake up in the morning. I mean, listen, I do consulting work, and I told you, like, I had a client that I finished a contract with, and when I would get together at some of their events in person, like, hardly anyone would say anything. Most of them were white, and like, you know what? I didn't give a rip. I went to sleep with, feeling happy, because I know who Oscar Garcia is, folks. I know what I bring to the table, and I just really like, listen, they don't value who I am. So what? But it's taken me years, folks, to get here. Right? It's a process. I'm not here to say, like, get over it. No, because it does stink, folks. But the key thing is, again, take advantage of this support system, this network that you have. Go through these exercises to reframe your story and realize that our struggles are something positive. Because I'm going to also tell you something, folks. Today, almost 53 years old, and some of my peers that are also almost 53, that I look at them, that I've known since way early on, they're dead on the inside, waiting for their body to catch up. And I'm like, that's why I don't really hang out with them, because they have emotional colds, and I'm not going to catch what they have.
I would add to that. Some of you may be able to see my screen. I have my FirstGen Connection Series Fellow certificate up there. There's a number of us on campus who are first generation who have participated in particular things. And I'm sure that Samaria has a whole list. All of us are open to talking with you all and being part of your support system.
Yes. Great question.
Oscar, do we have time for another question?
Of course.
All right.
Hello. I just have a question about, you said that you mainly kind of connected a lot more with your younger sibling. Right now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of pushing my younger sibling. She's my sister. She's a junior right now in high school. Kind of pushing her to go into college because she kind of is drifting off, and I'm trying to, like, inspire her. Did you try to do that with your younger sibling as well?
I did try to do that, and I wasn't successful. I wasn't successful. But see, here's the thing too, though, is that we all have our own journey, our own path, and the reality is, should we all go to college? I mean, is college education a good thing? Of course it is. But there's many different paths to get to be successful, many different definitions. My brother himself, he's in law enforcement. He has a very successful career in law enforcement. He's an amazing person, honestly. And I'm not just saying that because he's my brother, it's true. I mean, he's highly accomplished and people love him. I mean, that guy can, make friends with anyone, but, they love him. And I realized, like, hey, you know what? He had his own journey. Today, he's actually been thinking about himself going back to college and getting that 4-year degree. So who knows? Maybe, I hope he does, and then I won't be able to say that I'm a first gen. But my point to you, my friend, is definitely encourage your sister to continue going on to college. Also realize that your sister is looking at you to be the example. And many times our family and our close friends are going to be our biggest critics, but they're also watching what we do. And so you also make sure that you don't lose yourself. You stay on track and accomplish, because one day they're going to come back and be like, hey, thanks for leading the way and being a great example.
I wanted to add something real quick. So in case you didn't know by our last names, I'm Oscar's daughter, and I'm actually the second generation to go to college. There's actually a big gap between my dad going to college, and then there was one more cousin, and then me. And we're talking about like 30 years almost of like college going. And I have a younger brother, and he always knew he was going to go to college. But I do have a lot of cousins who didn't go to college, and a lot of cousins who it was like, oh, do I want to go? Do I not want to go? And I've also been kind of like a mentor to a few other people who were really like, weren't sure if they wanted to go to college or not. And one of the things that made the world of a difference is actually bringing that person to a college campus. You don't know what college is a theory. It's not set in stone. A lot of people, first generation college students, don't step foot onto their campus until they move into campus to go to that school. And so one of the things for me was being able to actually go to those campuses and like feel what that atmosphere is like, because it's very different. It's very different from high school to college, and that it's like this energy of like freedom, but also it's this energy of I'm in the real world, but I'm not quite yet. So it's really, and it's one of the few places in your life where you will be around people who have similar thoughts of you as you, like similar passions and also similar ambitions, which is a very rare opportunity to be in that environment, because it's honestly 4 years of being with like-minded individuals, which you really won't get anywhere else. So yes, definitely, if you can, bring her along so she knows what it feels like to be on a college campus.
Great points. Any other questions?
I think you got all our questions here in the room. Would it be helpful if everyone in the room, if we could stand up and wave so you could see us a little better?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for sticking around and joining us. And I did mean what I said. One day I do look forward to being with you in person. So, yes. So, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you for joining us again. We definitely appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right. Have a great rest of your week. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.